Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you might be. This post is on magic spells. When you deliver subliminal or cryptic messages to large populations, you can create effects that seem unexpected and magical. Songs that you listened to years ago may suddenly resonate with stinging clarity and change your behavior in unexpected ways. To those around you, it may seem that you have been bewitched. Internet algorithms can have even more magical effects, as when two people begin haunting the same information space and consuming the same ideas. Such shared consumption patterns can draw people together in ways that no one expects. To some, this is merely the magic of advertising. To others, it seems like the chaos magic of the Scarlet Witch in the Marvel Comics movies. She was imbued with the power of the Mind Stone and could change the fabric of reality itself by changing the way in which she thinks about reality. Nevertheless, she still has to deal with others who wield similar powers. I do not have magical powers, of course, but if I align myself with a collective attitude adjustment which is about to emerge, it may appear that I do. For example, if the Red Witch in the film of the Marvel Comics film is a representative of a collective change in the way women think about science, in her battle with Thanos, the representative of scientific greed, she embodies a sea change in women's attitudes about technology. From reading many groups on the internet, I've learned that women are angry that they have been poisoning themselves and their children with neurotoxic triclosan, and that the antifungal agent used to keep their bread from molding has been reducing their IQs. They are angry that their antidepressants and allergy medicines are giving them dementia. They are angry that their husbands have been turned into unhealthy zombie slaves of a STEM machine. They are angry that they are surrounded by smartphone addicts, and angry that when they enter the hospital to have a baby, there is a high probability that they will be filleted like a fish on the operating table. Don't even get me started about scoliosis surgery. My point is, the ghosts of the people we have sacrificed on the altar of technology are angry. When we create art, we release spells or spirits that haunt or heal these ghosts. Of course, that is not the only reason we create art. From a light-hearted perspective, art creation is all about sex appeal. It is just an evolutionary adaptation used to attract mates and stabilize our social groups. We do it because it makes us feel good when others like what we make. We use art to manipulate each other and change our society. Art reaches from one mind into another and stirs. From a more psychological perspective, we create art to reduce the discomfort caused by the randomness which surrounds us. I realized that I create a narrative to reduce the discomfort caused by the randomness I see within my memories. I also realized that pattern recognition and love fulfill the same function as narrative creation. When you see a young person playing Candy Crush, one of these internet games, they are trying to alleviate the discomfort caused by the randomness of their thoughts. When you see a person falling in love, they are protecting their mind from the discomfort of random free association, of meaningless connections or lack of purpose. A writer of stories is protecting herself from the discomfort of disordered memories and lack of purpose. Love, pattern recognition, narrative creation, it's all the same thing. I fall in love with a person in order to attempt to create a meaningful narrative. Meaning, in this sense, is something which will have an effect on the future and which makes us feel alive. From a more spiritual perspective, sometimes I see something that rattles me deeply, and I can't process why the emotional response is so strong. So I interpret it as an omen designed to teach me something important, even when I know that it is just an emotional response to some sort of physical artwork. It still feels like being visited by a spirit. Maybe that is what we do when we create art. We set spirits free so that they may find new homes. At least that is the illusion we love. The illusion that we can exorcise our feelings by getting them outside of our bodies into the collective unconscious so that they can haunt and heal others. I am aware that I am deliberately using mystical language. I could have said the same exact thing with technical jargon, but I'm deliberately choosing not to, because I don't think it's sensible to make a dividing line between those who use academic technical jargon and those who use more mystical, older terminology. So, in that spirit, in the imaginary realm, I feel guided by such a spirit of an idea. And in this realm, I have never met him, even though I write to him in my books. Art is an expression of the spirit of a time. They used to call it the Weltgeist. Medieval art, with its cartoon-like figures who are lifted above their bodily suffering through religious thought. Islamic art, with its focus on geometric figures. And Renaissance art, with its full-figured emphasis on voluptuous anatomy in harmony with nature. Each represents spirits of times during which knowledge was carried by a small group of people within elite religious communities. Despite the violence of their times, the elite religious communities largely maintained a cohesive whole and a continuity of tradition, which lasted until the Reformation, a time defined by destruction of art and a divergence in the forms of artistic expression. Compare this to the effect of the Industrial Revolution and the World Wars on our collective consciousness. Through industrial-scale printing and information distribution, knowledge became more widely available, causing the old institutions to fragment in a violent, traumatic fashion as the monarchy and church gave way to industry. This fragmentation achieves its most vivid representation in the abstract art of the early 1900s, consisting solely of shapes and colors which have no narrative structure. A traumatic experience for the collective consciousness is expressed through the art of the time. In medieval art, the focus is on the bodily suffering of the Christ figure and a mind elevated and encircled by a halo. In Renaissance art, the focus is on the anatomy of healthy bodies at one with nature. And in modern art, there is an expression of abstraction and psychic fragmentation, which we are still healing from. We heal from traumatic events by knitting together the fragmented pieces of our memories into a coherent whole, which defines our identity, and this process is still continuing today. Every abstract representation is an expression of our attempt to heal from the trauma of technological transformation. How long this process will go on is uncertain, since many new technological disruptions are on the horizon. In the meantime, I would like to see a modern remake of the movie, or the book, rather, 1984. The last filmed version of 1984 was wonderful, but it was made to be true to the original 1949 book. Everything was gray, crumbling, and with old technology. It would be nice to see a more colorful version, set closer to the present day. For example, the cafeteria would look like a sparkling, modern Silicon Valley cafeteria. The food wouldn't be slop, as in the original. It would look attractive, but on closer inspection, it would turn out to be a few basic foodstuffs pressed into different shapes and consistencies, giving the illusion of variety and choice. The 2 minutes hate would consist of a mandatory news report broadcast to everyone's phones, followed by mandatory voting with a flurry of angry newsfeed emojis. The news would be about the tragedies unfolding due to global warming and those traitors who are responsible for it. The main character is charged with scrubbing the internet clean of accurate chocolate price histories and replacing them with party-sanctioned histories. Later, one sees him erasing scientists' names and faces from history and replacing their names with those of up-and-coming party leaders or people who died heroically in the war. The desired effect is that people believe that all scientific advancements come from the party. In the original 1984, people don't have sex because the party discourages it. But in a new version, addiction to electronic devices and virtual sex has replaced real relationships. The main character would remember some physics he had learned as a child and realize that it doesn't match at all what is being taught on the internet. 2 plus 2 equals 5. He realizes that the party was not only keeping people in the dark about the war on global warming, but also about basic science. This is when he gets taken in for a doctor's appointment and given a brain film implant which will help improve his mental health. Please be quiet. Sorry about that. He realizes that the party was not only keeping people in the dark about the war on global warming, but also about basic science. This is when he gets taken in for a doctor's appointment and given a brain film implant, which will help improve his mental health. He now experiences physical pain when he thinks certain thoughts. Because he is resistant to understanding the ideas of the party, he is subject to public ridicule, and through photoshopped images, he is accused of all manner of perversions, bestiality, pedophilia. His love interest is dosed with dopamine blockers, which cause her to develop Parkinson's and dementia, losing any drive to influence society or maintain a connection to him. I would definitely keep the ending of the story the same, with the idea that he is the last man, alone in a bar with a chessboard. All of the other free thinkers were already eliminated. It is said that art imitates life and life imitates art. But what if art sometimes prevents bad things from coming to pass? That is why I wrote my books. You can only avoid a freight train if you can see it or hear it coming. And while some can hear it as a high-pitched singing of the tracks, others only hear the roar of the engines when it is almost upon them. This was a bit dramatic, but dramatic is more fun than measured, and I hope you'll be patient with the drama, because it's, I think I have to record this again because this did not go well.